Hello, welcome to another ramble. Today's topic is going to touch on, how do I say, INFJs overcoming their weaknesses. Does that make sense? So, I think I'm not an expert on this, guys. I'm just going to talk off the top of my head. But I know for the past year, I've noticed exponential growth. Why? Because I do the things that I know I am weak at. Does that make sense? So basically, if you look at our weaknesses, I know um, they usually make us feel uncomfortable and it makes you feel away. And so we have a tendency to low key avoid these things. But if you would like to improve yourself, enhance yourself, and access a more wholer version of yourself, it is essential for you to move into these things instead of away from them. And I've noticed this is applicable to life in general. So if there's something that you are afraid of, you should just go right into it. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a plane flying by. So we're just going to have to deal with that noise. Yeah, so I've noticed also like things that trigger you. If you're aware of your triggers, you could actually, and the first step is being aware, really. Until you're aware of stuff, you can't really make any more leeway, you know what I mean? So the thing is being aware of your triggers, being aware of what you are afraid of, things that make you feel uncomfortable. Um, Obviously, it depends. So if you're, interacting with people and they're doing something that's kind of going against your, how do I say, your standard or your, how do I say, oh my gosh, all these noises. See what I'm saying? So, like, I know that noises trigger me. So, even though it's difficult and it's hard, I still try to observe my trigger and observe the thing that is touching on my nerve. And I try to just kind of stay calm and less reactive. You know what I mean? Like, you acknowledge it's there, you don't repress it. You acknowledge it's there, and instead of retracting or reacting, you just kind of like teach yourself to sit in it, no matter how uncomfortable it is, and teach yourself and reprogram yourself to retain a sense of calmness and ease, even though something feels uncomfortable, even though you're afraid. Just try to retain a sense of calmness and ease. And I feel like any muscle, the more you work at it, the better you get at it, the stronger it gets, right? Until you get to a point where it doesn't trigger you, you're not afraid of it. And like, I've noticed, like, if I'm afraid of something, for instance, I'm afraid to confront someone, and have that conversation that needs to be had so I can address certain things. I'll feel the feeling of fear and I will go and confront someone anyway. And the thing is, I think we got to twist it. Like, confrontation, it doesn't have to be done with anger. It can be done in a very peaceful and civil and mature manner. I think what's most important is when you are confronting someone, come from a neutral place, you know what I mean? Come from a calm place and You have to be aware of your tone, the words that you're using, and also your facial and bodily gestures. You know what I mean? Because these things can either aggravate the person you're confronting or it can neutralize them. And I know when I first started confronting people, I was scared as heck. Scared. Like paralyzing fear inside. But I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling this, but this needs to be done, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to see it through, and I'm going to push. You know what I mean? And I feel it's kind of like the birthing process. You know, the more you like push through things that feel uncomfortable, push through things that you're afraid of, you give birth to a newer, stronger, more powerful, and whole version of yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah, so I don't know the weaknesses off the top of my head, but you could probably go and look online at like Briggs Meyer related websites and kind of study the weaknesses of the INFJ and just know that those weaknesses aren't who you are, and you can actually mold and rebuild and reprogram yourself to move beyond those limitations. Because let's face it, the INFJ model isn't who you really are, but it is definitely a great reference point to show you like aspects of yourself that you knew you had, but you couldn't quite put into words. So it's a good template to reference, you know what I mean? But it's not who you are. So, like I said, when you're afraid, when you're uncomfortable, don't shy away. Just kind of sit there with these feelings and take the appropriate action that you need to in order to push through these moments or these experiences. And eventually, you know, the things that are weaknesses will not be weaknesses anymore because you will be a stronger person. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day. And if you learned something cool, if you didn't, that's cool too. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are, and blessings to one and all. Amen.